Good afternoon, Nkosi Talk Shows family. Sinamsa here at Nkosi Talk Shows. Find your own voice, lead from within. With me today, I am with Amanda Murray and Grant Morrell. And how are you guys?
All right, good to see you. Nice to see you both.
Awesome. So our topic today is do what others want to get what others don't. So meaning getting what others don't have. So welcome to our channel, and through this inspiring video, we're going to unleash the potential of the power of going the extra mile. We'll dive into a transformative concept that can truly change your life. And we believe in the philosophy, do what others want to get what others don't have. And so over to you, Amanda or Grant. What do you guys think about the topic?
It's a brilliant topic, actually. I think because it's really what sets people apart, I think. It's always about, in all success, it's about doing something differently. It's about doing something differently to the competitors. And that's the thing that sets us apart. So being willing to do things that other people aren't is something. And I can talk a little bit more about that later. Amanda, what do you think?
I really think that when we get focused and when we know what it is that we want, that's something when we get that motivation into going the extra mile. And also, we can't put 100% effort into everything that we do, because then we wouldn't be able to hyper focus on something. And so sometimes as a teacher, I have parents be like, I just want them to be putting 100% effort into everything that they do. And I ask them, do you put 100% effort into everything you do? Like, do you clean your toilet with 100% effort? Do you like make every single meal with 100% effort if you're not a chef, right? And so we have to like compartmentalize some parts of our lives and really hyper focus on certain ones if we want to achieve something. We can't, the most highly paid people are the people who are the most specialized. So if we want to achieve what others won't, is really about focusing on our specialty or on that thing that we truly love. So even, for example, I have a cousin who had a full ride scholarship to play hockey. And he was playing hockey all the time from a little kid. He would be out anytime I was visiting with them, that he'd be out on the driveway shooting pucks. If he came down to visit, he'd be on the farm and he'd be out in the barn shooting pucks. Like he just always, it was his passion. And then it actually got him somewhere. So, because not every hockey player makes it to get where they have a full ride scholarship, right? And so in order to get what other people wouldn't be able to achieve is really that commitment and that drive to continuously do something every single day and to make your passion your like purpose. And so I think when we find our purpose and our passion, that's when we really can achieve what others truly won't.
I like that. Passion and purpose. Very important, aligning the two, because I think once you do that, as someone once said, once you align your passion and your purpose, you're never doing a day's work in your life. That's good. What do you think, Nelson?
Yeah, I love what you said, Grant, and what Amanda said, that in order to do the extraordinary, you've got to do what others cannot do. And the example of the hockey and not making it and others make it. I think everyone can do things and succeed. I've seen, like, sometimes when I meet people, they're like, I can't sing or I can't do this, I can't do this. I'm like, have you ever tried it before? And they're like, no. But I'm like, how do you know if you've never tried it before? So back to what Amanda was saying, that this person didn't make it to hockey. It's all depend on the dedication and the hours that you put as well. I've seen people that they put so much hours in something because that's what they want to become, and they succeed. But then they find some people, they lose confidence because they find it hard, so they give up. So if you really want to become something, you have to, your mindset has to be in the right place. It's all about the mindset, everything we do in life, and setting goals and achieving goals. Sometimes life is not easy. And just having that energy, determination of, I want to do this, how much do you want it? Just keep going and keep doing. And eventually you get to where you need to be. For me, I have this thing where if I'm doing something, if somebody tells me that I cannot get to where I need to go, I will keep going. But eventually I find that breakthrough. And then you just get to where I need to go, but it requires work. Everything we do in life, it requires us to work for it. There is no magic pill, but time, if you put time in it and just work on it, if you fall, surround yourself with the right people, then you get there.
Right, that's great.
Right.
And yet to put yourself through it, and that's really good. So I want to just dive in a little bit, if I may, about doing what other people won't do. And here's the thing. I mean, the title is Do What Others Won't Do to Get What Others Won't Have. Very true. So think about it. I want you people to think about, we always talk about finding your superpower, right? What is your superpower? What's the thing that you love doing? The thing that you love doing but other people really don't. All right, because this is what life's all about, isn't it? It's about, we were talking about this just before the show, it's about doing things you love. Because when you do things you love, you're in your place of power, you're in your superpower. It feels like you're never doing a day's work. That's when you'll go further than anyone else. That's when you'll do it with more enthusiasm, more, you'll be bubbling to do it. You know, it's just the greatest thing. And that's what sets you apart from other people. When you're going through the motion, when you're doing a job, you're just doing it to get paid, your heart's not in it. And you can never really lead doing that. You can never really exceed expectations doing that. It's about really going out. You've got to stand out from the crowd when you do something. And you'll only do that when you're doing something you love. And when you're doing something you love, you'll probably be doing things that others aren't willing to do to get the things that others don't have. So I want to talk a little bit, if I can, about finding that. Now, years ago when I was at university, I studied management and strategic marketing. That's what I specialized in. One of the case studies was called the Komatsu theory. Komatsu, you may recognize them. They're a Japanese company, as you probably guessed by the name. But they make earth-moving equipment. You know, the people dig up land, with those caterpillar tracks, and they dig things up, and shovels and big trucks. That's what Komatsu are. And they make machinery like this. Now, the biggest giant in that industry was Caterpillar, the big American giant called Caterpillar. Huge, huge, huge. Now, what often happens when you become a market leader is you become a little bit lazy. You rest on your laurels. You start working on former glories. And that's kind of, at the time, I'm not saying now, but at the time, Caterpillar were kind of in that position. They were the fat cats, okay? And that's what they did. Now, Komatsu, a small company trying to get into that industry, and they couldn't compete with that. They couldn't compete with Caterpillar. They had a really well established, huge, huge, huge. But what they had to find is something which we now call a niche, a little angle in that industry that nobody else is doing. So they researched the market and they found out, you get these big Caterpillar trucks with a big arm, mechanical arm, and it has like the shovel on the end that digs up the ground. On the shovel, it obviously has like a pivot and a pin and something, and there's a mechanism there, which is a real pain in the butt to manufacture, right? It was a real pain. No one wanted to do it. It didn't make much money. It was tons of hassle. Others did it begrudgingly because if they had the whole contract, they kind of had to do that as well, but they really didn't like doing it. So one thing that Japanese tend to have in a culture is that they tend to not always invent new things, but rather more improve existing things. They're great, the world's greatest improvers of things. So they looked at this, they looked into the market, they found out a better way to do it, and they found out a more efficient way to do it and a more economic way to do it. And they got hired by the big companies to do it. They become so good at it and so great that what did the client say to them? Is that all you do, or do you do anything else? And they said, oh yeah, we do lots of other stuff. And that's how they grew. The Komatsu theory. So what are you willing to do what other people aren't willing to do in order to get what other people haven't got? So that's the Komatsu theory. And it went like, of course, you know, Caterpillar did answer and they did start adjusting their marketing after. But the point I wanted to take from the story was exactly that, to set the theme about it. So in other words, what's the thing that you're willing to do that others aren't willing to do to get noticed, to get your foot in the door, to get established, to get those contracts? Amanda, have you heard that? Have you heard that story before?
No, I haven't heard that story before, but it's a great story of how you just pick that one thing. And it's really ties into this book that I read this summer called The Miracle Morning, where it's about just shifting your life just a little bit in order to be able to achieve really great things. And so much of what we want to achieve, it's just a dream unless you actually take actionable steps towards achieving them. And so what I like about The Miracle Morning is that it sets aside time each day where you're focused on setting up your day as best you can. And it involves having some silence and meditation, doing some journaling, exercising, doing your affirmations and visualizing, and reading as well, because your level of growth is always dependent on the amount of self-improvement that you're doing, or the amount of what's it called? I can't remember the word right now, like professional development that you're doing. And so really, if you take a look at your life right now, how much self-improvement or self-development are you doing on a daily basis? If your answer is none, well, then you're not going to grow. But if your answer is, well, I read every day, I meditate every day, I exercise every day, I'm taking courses all the time, then you can see that you're growing constantly. So we're always constantly growing if we're always constantly trying to improve in some area of our life. And so what is it that you do each and every day that's going to just give you that incremental little bit better and little bit better and little bit better? And when you do that, that's when you're really going to be able to achieve what other people won't, because so often what we do is we just do our habitual patterns, and our habitual patterns are the same as what we learned from childhood. So often, unless you start to learn about patterns and learn about growth and learn about self-improvement, we stay the same level as basically the same habits and everything that our parents had, unless we consciously choose to take a different path. When you start to learn about habits, you start to learn about what it is that you're doing that is learned from childhood, and then what it is that you don't like about those patterns that you actually want to shift and change. And so when you start to look at that as that everything we do is almost habitual, what is it that you're going to shift and change? Because when you choose to step out of those habits and you replace them with something that's going to help you grow, that's when you're really going to see achievement and growth that you've never seen before.
Of that self-evaluation, Amanda, that's really powerful, because when you evaluate where you are, where you're going, and then looking at your goals as well, if you have clarity with your goals as well. And I like Grant's story as well. That's a very powerful story, Grant. Yeah, so it's very, very important to actually know what you want in life, because the answer lies with our willingness, like what Amanda is saying. What are we willing to do to do what to get to where we need to be, and also to succeed. Success demands dedication, It also demands us to go above and beyond our expectations, to do the hard work. And sometimes you don't really have to do the hard work. It means when others are going partying, it means you have to, you're doing something, maybe reading, gaining skills. When others going out and doing the things they love, it means you become a boring person, but that's how the skills, you create your skills. There's a guy I met at Andy Harrington. These guys were like, they were team, both doing the training. And when they were all doing the training, and there was this certain guy, specific guy, that was a speaker there. So Andy Harrington explained that when these guys did the training, they all came to his house. So I think they come for 2 weeks or 4 weeks or 3 weeks, I'm not sure. They do the training. So he said how he ended up picking this guy to work closer to him and help him out, and to be where he is now. He said everybody else, they'll finish the work, the training, everybody else will go out and celebrate, but he would just stay behind and continue reading and do the work. So that's when he actually realized that he was hungry for what he wanted to do. So he took him in, and now he's one of the biggest speakers as well. So he took him in. So that's what you have to do, to go beyond and do extraordinary things that people won't do, and push yourself to you embracing that discomfort, because it's uncomfortable to get where you need to be. Sometimes it can feel uncomfortable, but when you truly, truly unleash that potential to get where you need to be, and just do the understanding the power of repetition, and just get there and embrace. In the end, you embrace the success, while others wondering how you did it. You become a boring person. They call you boring.
Well, you know, it's not about boring, is it? I mean, if you're doing something you love, and you're doing those things, I think when you're doing things that other people don't want to do, I think they're really appreciative of it. I think they love it, because I certainly know full hand there's certain things that I really don't enjoy doing. I really, really don't enjoy doing it in business. And if I can find the people who love doing that for me, I don't think they're boring. I'm just really bloody grateful that they're doing it. I'm like, thank God there's people who love it. And the things that I do, it's not really their thing. And I don't understand it, because I love doing those things. And that is really the essence, isn't it, of teamwork? If you can do it. I mean, and this is where you find your value, is in doing the things other people don't like. And I think for all of you, wherever you are now, you should really start thinking about what are the things that you love doing, the things that other people think maybe a bit weird, or it'd bore them. It's not to say it would bore them, but you love it. What's the things that you really geek out on? What's the things that light you up? And people notice it when you talk about it, you light up, and they're like, wow, you see different when you're talking about that. That's the stuff where your energy is flowing. That is you being in your flow. What you would call chi, or energy. Some martial artists will talk about chi, flow, energy. Some people, Japanese will call it one, Chinese will call it another, etc. But it is really about that. What's the things where you really feel light on your feet? You don't feel heavy, you don't feel tired, you feel light, you feel energized, and you want to do it. Are they the things that other people don't like doing? If so, you've just made yourself valuable. Okay, that means your commercial value goes up. So start taking a look at those things. Not the things you just do that others don't want to do because they can't be bothered, but the things you love to do, you excel at. So it might be a skill, and I don't mean a low-level skill such as Amanda's version of cleaning the toilet. I mean, what is the skill you've got, the great skill you got, the technical skill, the intellectual skill, the skill with your hands, a trade professional, whatever. What is it you like doing about it? What's the niche in that you really excel at? Because there's the thing. So start looking at that. and it would make it valuable. So I don't know if any of you got any. I'd love to hear some of you guys feedback on that and what it is you do, and we can show you how to monetize that. Okay, we can do that. And it's not just about making money, is it? It's about fulfillment, because we could all go and do things to make a lot of money, probably. And it sounds really glamorous, but not if it makes you miserable. Not if you hate doing it, because it's probably going to be pretty short-lived if that's the case. It's just not going to work. Or you could be at dis-ease with it. And if you're at dis-ease, yeah, that's exactly what you could end up with, a dis-ease. You could be unwell, and nothing's worth that, my friends. So think of it that way. What's the things that light you up? What it makes you feel light? What do you like doing? You're much more likely to be successful doing those. Think about that. Amanda, how do you agree with that? And if so, how do you relate that to school kids?
Yeah, I was actually just thinking that. I was thinking about this story that I tell the kids when they think like, oh, I'm not good at math. I don't like math. And I said, well, we got to learn a little bit of it at least, because we have to know enough to know if your accountant, if you become really successful in something, is actually like running your finances properly, right? So, for example, Dave Pikely, I don't know if I say his last name right, but anyways, he's the one who wrote Captain Underpants and Dogman. And essentially, he's dyslexic and ADHD, and he has a whole bunch of things going on. And when he was in grade 2, his teacher, or actually all through school, he was basically kicked out and spent the whole time in the hallways. And he would sit there and draw comics. And when he was in grade 2, his teacher came out and he ripped up his comic and said, you're never going to do anything with this. Stop drawing comics all the time, essentially. And I'm like, and then I tell them this, and like, he's one of the most successful authors and comic authors that there is. And yet this teacher told him that he would never do anything with it. And I always try to tell the kids this story, because I'm like, okay, so if you're Dave Pikely and you don't like math, but you're super passionate at this, and that's your passion, that's great. Keep doing your passion, but still know enough about the other area that you know, okay, if I sell this many books, I should have this much money, and I have to pay these people approximately this much. So I know at the end of the day, is anybody skimming anything off the top, right? Because that's the sort of things that you need to know in math. You don't need to know all the complexities of it. If you love math, like I have a friend who's an accountant and a very successful accountant, and I'm like, oh, that sounds so boring. But that's what she loves to do, and that's what her passion is helping people with that. And she's really, really good at it because she's really, really meticulous. And so we look at things that other people think are boring and we love them. And I have people tell me all the time, like, I could never do your job as a teacher. Like, I would lose my mind, and like, I don't like kids, and and I love kids. Like, I see them in the mall, and just even the other day, I saw that some former students in the mall, and they were like, hi, Miss Cottrell, and like, was so excited. And so, but that teaching is my passion. And so it is something that I absolutely love to do. And I love working with kids, whereas other people would be like, that's the last thing on the planet I would like to do. And that's why we're all different, and why we all bring unique aspects to the world, is because we should have different passions. We don't need to be this carbon cookie cutter copies of each other. And that's why sometimes in school it's really hard and we feel deflated, is because there's certain curricular things that are valued more by society than other ones. And really, those creative sides are actually what often drives people, and what often makes people just think outside the box that little bit. Like what Grant said about that one company, was we don't need to do everything exactly the same as everybody else. We just need to think a little bit outside the box, and that could actually like completely drive our life in a different direction by just thinking slightly differently, like that company did. And so often I think when in school, especially, and this is something that teachers really need to be conscious of, is that certain kids aren't always going to love math. Certain kids aren't always going to love music, but they do love something. And our job as teachers is to find that one find that passion within them and try to allow them to make it thrive, or to foster that passion and that purpose within them, so that they leave school knowing what their passion and purpose is. And so often I think kids go through school and they're like, oh, I just got to be really good at math, or I just got to be really good in this area so that I can go to university, and then I go to university and then I get a job and then I go. And that's really not what life is about. And if you look at Grant or Nomza, or you have examples of going to school and then doing this passion and then taking another turn and then taking another turn. It's not a linear line like school, I think, sometimes makes you believe. Is like, you go to school, you go to university, you get a job, you do this, you retire at 55, you have 1.5 kids. That's not how life works. We have lots of different divergence and everything. And so I think what we really need to find within ourselves is, what is it that we love to do, and be driven enough that we're going to not allow anything to stop us. So if Dave Pikely had allowed his teacher to stop him in grade 2, be like, and listened, we wouldn't have all of the comics that those kids in my class absolutely love to read. And we would have missed out on that creative spark that he brings to the world. So I also think sometimes if you really know that you love something, don't allow somebody else to take that creative spark away from you. You're muted, Nomza.
I love what you're saying, Amanda. I've just sent the audio to my family in the group, because there's this caregiver coming to the UK visas. And everybody's applying for it. And I sent a message. I was like, are you guys kidding? I was like, no, everybody's meant to do the same thing. We're all different and we all do different talent. So you just have to find out your talent, your gift, where your gift, like what you're saying, Amanda, that not every child likes maths or English, but they have their own specific gift. Like my daughter came to me just before GCSE's exams, and she was like, I don't want to do French when I'm going to the A levels. So because number one, I'm no good at it. I'm not this. She told me like 20 reasons why. Normally when she tells me that she doesn't want to do something, it means she's good at it. So that's what I know. I've realized. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to side with you, and I'm not going to disagree with you. Why don't you do your exams and then decide what you want to do? And then I asked her teacher as well, and the teacher was like, oh, she's right. She can take Italian as a language, a second language, when she goes to A level. And then she does, I was like, okay, then. And then she does her GCSEs in now French. She gets top marks. So then I'm asking her the other day, I was like, oh, how is Italian going? She goes, I never changed French. I'm still doing French. I was like, what happened then? She goes, I realized I'm genius. You were right. So it's like, yeah, you don't have to, because sometimes the children makes a decision. If they don't like the teacher, or if they have a disagreement with the teacher, they change their mind. Or if they are friends, mostly if they're talking to friends, and the friends say, I don't like this, they end up following people. So sometimes it's very, very important. I like, Amanda, how you teach children to actually find their own talent and become who they're meant to become, and not to allow people discourage them, because we live in this world where people would tell us that we are not good enough, we are not good at this. But then it's up to you to actually work on your talent. There's some things myself that I was like, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at this. But the more I try to learn, I realize actually I become good at it. So you just have to just do like what Grant was saying. What was it Amanda says, what lights you up? That was Grant, was it? Do what lights you up, do the things that you want to do, and also just when you do the things that you love to do, What are you guys asking? The talk show? Oh, okay.
No, you just carry on.
Yeah, so you have to do the things that you believe that you can do it. And sometimes we can talk ourselves out of our blessings. So it's just being kind to ourselves. When you are kind to yourself, and also embrace your mindset and just go deep. Meditation, when you meditate, it does help to actually go deep into your inner being so you can connect with your winning inner being spirit, so you can just connect and see the things that you're good at it and the things that you are not good at. There are some people that are just good at everything. So if you are not those kind of people who are talented, then you have to do the work. But somehow there is a talent there, so you just have to find it. I changed my daughter's school because my youngest one, when I changed her school, I said to her teacher, I believe my daughter, she's very, very talented, but she was talented. She could see that she was good, but she wasn't. But now she's in a different school. Her personality is coming out. Who she is just coming out. The things that she can do. The other day, she was doing maths. She goes, Mommy, big numbers. I'm not sure how to do them. So I sit next to her. She goes, hey, hold on a minute. I'm going to do it. And then she's doing it. So I'm looking at her. I'm like, how did you work that out? She goes, Mom, it's easy. You can just do this and add this, and then you get it. So I was like, why did you call me then and said you can't do it? She goes, I just looked at the numbers. They looked so big for me. Then it was scary. But then she sat down and then she just started working out on her own. So that's what life is about. It's about we have to trust our abilities. And if there is any fear or negative mindset or negative things that are attached to us, work on them and just finding out the real you and getting to where doing things that people won't do. It means that sometimes, like Amanda, you are a writer. You know that writing requires skills. It requires you to be in a quiet place to think, and then when the ideas come up, you have to have a pen near you, or you have a mobile phone where you just write your notes. And when the ideas come up, you just go along and then you just get creative. So that's how you get creative. And sometimes people may say, I don't think so. And my ex used to say that I'll go to him and say, we need to do this for our daughter. He would say, Nomsa, you are living in dreams. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm in the reality. So then, yeah, because I'm following Grant, I'm following Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins says, if you want to do something, you got to get on with it. You can't mess about. So I took those advice, like, I just don't mess about. I just get on and do it. If I don't get the results that I want, I keep going. So over to you, Amanda or Grant.
Well, just get on with it. And I like it. It's true. I think, again, once you get clarity on that thing you can do, that's the biggest part. Once you get clarity on it, you'll find that drive, you'll find that passion to just go and get on with it. And I think that's right. By the way, guys, if you're listening on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or YouTube, thanks for being here. And also pay it forward. Think about who else you can invite to come here. One of the great things about being a great leader in your life or your career or your business is about thinking of others. And if
we're not on Instagram, Grant. We are on every channel, but not on Instagram.
Okay, maybe we will be. But but you think about that. Wherever you are, invite more people. Because it's about paying it forward. It's about thinking of other people. If you think this is useful to you, then think who else is going to be useful to. So in which case, just invite more people would be really great. And we'd love to hear your questions. We always want to know your questions, what you're thinking, how we can help you more. But yeah, drill into that. Find out where your passion is, because your passion is going to lead you to your payouts. And do that. Amanda, what are you thinking?
I think that if we want to achieve what other people aren't willing to do, it's really like setting out a time and looking at your week or your month or your year, and what is it that you want to achieve, and how are you going to take incremental steps in order to get there. So when I write a book, I don't just write the book and leave it in the drawer. I actually have to like do things to get it published, which is like taking incremental steps. And I think when you are meant to do something, the right doors will open along the way. And so, for example, when I scribbled down my first book ever, it was just in a journal after a meditation at a retreat. And I scribbled it down and I was like, okay, this is something that would be really valuable in my classroom. I'm going to draw the pictures for it, and then I'm going to make it on my Mac, on my computer. And because at that time, Apple had a way to like make picture books and then like photo albums, and I knew how to do that. So I was just going to do that and send it away and have one copy in my classroom that I could use with my students when I wanted to use it. And that was it. That was my plan. Well, then as I was starting to draw the pictures for it, some people connected me with people who knew how to self-publish on Amazon. And I started taking courses, and I started learning, and I started joining different writers groups. And eventually I was able to self-publish on Amazon, but it wasn't because I had this intention of even doing it. It was because doors just opened once I started to go down that path. And my original plan wasn't to be an author. It was just I need this resource in my classroom. I'm going to do this. And so sometimes doors open when we just start doing something that comes to us, or that we have this like knowing within ourselves that it's something that we need to be doing. And so having that knowing within yourself when you're like, this isn't really something I ever really truly thought about. I know lots of people, there's like 98% of the population, I think is the stats, that says they have a book inside them, and only 2% will actually like scribble down a manuscript, and only 0.02% will actually get it to publishing. So if you decide to ever publish a book, and I know Grant's been part of a publishing book as well, he's an author as well, that you actually are that 0.02% of the population, because you actually took something from start to finish to get it published. And that's something that so many people in the world won't ever do. And that's actually why I designed a course on how to self-publish on Amazon, is because I know that if you just have the tools, that anyone can achieve the goal of becoming an author. And so I know that sometimes we just think, well, I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to stop. Or I don't know what the next step is, but really you do know what the next step is. It's like, okay, maybe the next step is just starting to follow people who have already done what it is that you want to do, and learn from them, and start having mentors. And they could even be mentors that you never meet in real life. It could be mentors online. So if you want to become a speaker, then start following Grant, because that's one of the things that he does, right? Is he helps people become international speakers. And so in order to get your goal, or to start on a path, you have to start surrounding yourself with those people who are already doing that, or surround yourself with some people who are going to inspire you to continue to keep stepping forward and forward and forward and forward. And that's kind of unconsciously what happened to me when I started writing. And so I think that can happen with anybody as well. As if you are meant to do something, just start doing it, and the right people will come into your life. You'll be attracted to them. They will start showing up. They'll show up in a social media feed. It'll show up in a post. It'll show up in I know somebody who's doing that, and they'll tag you in something. And that's literally how I started writing or publishing. I had a friend who tagged me in a post on Instagram, for somebody who was looking for it was actually on Facebook, who was looking for an illustrator. And I responded to her, and she was using somebody else as the illustrator, but she was like, I'm running this like info session on how to self-publish on Amazon. Do you want to come? It's $25. And I was like, yes, I do want to come. and that's how I started. So you never know where it's going to take you, but you need to keep continuing those steps along the way.
think you're muted again. I'm sorry.
I know my computer is just playing with me when I'm trying to unmute myself. Yeah, I love that, Amanda, that when you began your journey, you didn't begin like wanting to be an author, but you ended up being one. And that is part of life. We do things that we do because we want to go through that journey of success. And I think lockdown created Ngozi talk shows. So that is good because I was like, oh, okay. I went to this business event and I think there was like 5 people. So, and my friend was complaining, saying, oh, there's not many people didn't turn up. I said, if you have audience, they will turn up. So maybe you need to create your own audience. And it was like, how do we do that? I was like, let's create a talk show. And when we create a talk show, we'll find people. And then you have people, your own audience, no expecting somebody else. And to me as well, I depended on Des because Des was my coach. So when I have like a business event, he will do the marketing for me. And when he will do the marketing for me, I realized actually I don't have my own audience. So that was the reason, part of it, that I created Ngozi Talk Show. And when me and Des had a discussion of doing Facebook Live, I was like, are you kidding me? I've never done Facebook Live. So I don't think I can do Facebook Live. I know I can go on stage and I can sing. If you ask me to sing, I can do all those things, but I'm not going to go Facebook Live. But I did it once and I enjoyed it. So it was good. So, and that's how we begin our journey. We just have to understand who we are and our big why we do all these things, and the power of commitment as well. And the power of setting your goals is very, very important, and the smart goals, long-term and short-term, and tracking your progress as well. And then reflecting on things is very, very important. When you reflect on things, where you are, where you're going, and who you're becoming, and that moment, defining your vision as well is very, very important. Like Amanda was saying, if you want to be a speaker, you can follow Grant. Grant is an international speaker. And also fears. How do we overcome these fears if we are fears, things that we fear in life? Because the fear will always be there. But for me, I don't fear anymore. I used to have this fear. If I want to do something, I will fear about people, what they will think, or sometimes like when you become something, you at the same time you lose friends as well, because the mindset is no longer the same. You're no longer thinking the same. But I still share some of my old friends. I still have them, but there are some friends, like when we are in the same room, our conversation is not the same. They talk about feeling sorry about themselves. So you don't want to be in that place where you are the one that is educating people. You want to be around people that are smarter than you. So that's what I do. I just do things. And sometimes the people will be like, do you think you can do that? Like my family, if I say I'm going to do something, they'll be like, you're kidding me, or do this. But when they do want something, they like ask Noms. I'm like, why do you want them to ask me? And they'll tell me 20 reasons, positive reasons, what they think about me. And I'm like, how come you've never told me this? And they're like, we know it, but sometimes it's hard to admit. Yeah, like what Amanda is saying, I like Amanda's character at Ngozi Talk Show. You pop up with a book from nowhere and you say, by the way, guys, can you please go and buy my book on Amazon? And I'm like, when did this book get written? And they're like, oh, it's just it's been a thing that I thought about it, and then I go on with it, and now it's being published just like that. He's like, yeah. Are you doing it? Are you writing any book behind the scenes, Amanda?
Yeah, I'm working on a couple right now. One of them is on it's a teacher's resource on mindfulness. So yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. I like when you pop up and say, okay, guys, I've written a book. Would you like to buy or download a free download? It's so beautiful when you're surrounded by people who get on with it. Or Grant, sometimes like today you have Grant here, and then tomorrow you speak to him. He's like, oh, sorry, I can't join you. I'm in Las Vegas. I'm like, what are you doing there? I'm speaking. So it's so beautiful just to surround yourself with people like that, because you know that whenever you get stuck, or sometimes I use you guys as my role models. If somebody can do this, it means that I can do it myself as well. So just push yourself and just do the things that you love to do. And sometimes fear or doubt, it will show up. Just know how to deal with it and don't ignore it or don't give up, because giving up is option B. I don't do option B. When I'm praying to God, I say, God, I don't do option B. I need option A. Or if option A is not working, tell me how to tweak it, and then I will tweak it. So, yeah.
Very good point. You always analyze what's going on. If it's not working, can you tweak it? If you can't tweak it, change it.
Yeah.
Pivot is a big word. It's a big word. Maybe it's not that. And I think it's everything we do in business. You try things. You've got to try opportunities. And sometimes they work well. Sometimes they don't. And if they don't, make it a little bit different. Some of the best success stories I've ever heard are like that. So always find your truth and listen to yourself. Listen to yourself and see what's working well. But it's just to dig back into the subject of doing things that other people don't do. What is it? How can it be? What others don't do? Why don't other people do these things? Why? And that's what I'm exploring. Why don't people do the other things? What is it? What is it about people when it gets to certain things that appear to be difficult, they stop? Now, are they wise to stop?
Fear.
Fear, right. It could be fear, it could be lack of knowledge, it could be lack of interest. There's a big one, lack of interest. And lack of resources. But is it a question of if they had the resources, they had the knowledge that they would like to do them also, or they still just not like it? So I think this is where you've got to draw the line yourself when it comes to doing things, is to ask yourself, is it just like, I'd love to do that, but I don't know how to do it? Or is it a question of, truthfully, even if I knew how to do it, I still would enjoy doing it? And that's, I think, the question to ask yourself, because that's going to lead you to your success. But if you can do that with the things that others really don't like doing for whatever reason, but you can work into that gap and become the person that plugs that gap, you're on the road to success. You've made yourself valuable. You put your commercial value higher, your time resources less. Because I knew a guy who was a specialist. And when you look at this is really what we're saying. We're talking about becoming a specialist in those things. And it is the specialist that earn the money. When you're a specialist at something, a generalist earns general money, which is fine. That's fine if that's what you want. But if you really want to be at the top of the tree, you've got to become a specialist at it. Think of it in a medical term. There's a general doctor who does pretty well. But then there's the back surgeon, the neurosurgeon, the hand surgeon. They're the specialists. And that's when you get referred to as a specialist. Specialist is the one who earns the big bucks because they know those special things or are willing to do those certain things that other people aren't. And that's where you can position yourself. You can become a specialist, not only in business, but in life. You can become a specialist at helping people to achieve certain things that they can't do. Perhaps that's a role you take in your family. You just got that person you're the person who has the ability to get that thing from people, to bring that out in them. Essentially, this is what we as coaches do. But are you doing that with your family? Are you doing that with your loved ones? Are you doing that with the colleagues at work? So there's different ways of doing it, but it is an ability that nobody else seems to have. Amanda, I'm guessing you must be one of the most rewarding things is seeing these abilities come out in kids. I think you're spot on. Can you tell us a bit about that? I'd love to know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that you just see kids light up in different areas, and different kids light up in different areas. Some kids thrive in doing like a drama performance or something, and other kids thrive in science, and other kids thrive in math. And it's just like you see them light up, and you see different kids light up in different areas. And I think that's something that we need to really be conscious of as teachers and as parents too, is to notice when it is that your child is lighting up and what it is that they light up about. And they might light up about something for a while, and then it fizzle out, and then they light up about something else. But keep watching and being conscious of those things that do really light them up, because that's going to be that self-motivating factor for them. And when you were talking about what it is that why some people, even if they had the resources, they wouldn't do it, and so much of it, I believe, and what I read, is linked to our habits. And so if you're not subconscious about your habits, you will just fall back into them. And if you have a habit that you know you want to change, you actually have to replace it with something else. You're more likely, if you replace it with something else, to actually get rid of that habit than you are if you just try to get rid of it. So really being conscious of habits is what's going to help you to change. I really need to get going because it's 7 a.m. here and I have to get to the school. But it's been such a fantastic conversation today. I love the story that you told, Grant, about the company out of Japan, because just that little shift, right? That little shift, that little pivot in how they wanted to approach the market really allowed them that upper hand in the market. And I think so often, if you are doing something, if we do something the same way every single day, we're going to get the same results. And so it's like that saying where if you do the same thing and you expect different results, that's insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is insanity. But if we can do something with passion and purpose, and maybe just pivot that little bit, be open to change and to growth, then that might be that little pivot that we need just to do it slightly different. And then we're actually achieving our goals that we wish that and have been driving and scrambling and pushing to achieve, and to also take time to just enjoy every moment of it too. So often I think we're so goal driven that we don't enjoy the journey, and really so much of life is the journey, and enjoying the journey and being present in the moment and being present with your growth and being grateful for things that you have in this moment now. And that's when you're really going to see that growth, is when you start to learn to enjoy the present moment.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Where can people contact you before you go, please, if they need to?
Yeah, on my website, artmindfulnessandcreativity.com, I've got some free resources on there and links to all my books. And so there's a couple of free resources, one on sparking your creativity, another one on mindfulness for kids, and another one on everything you need to know to self-publish in 90 days.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Amanda. And please, guys, if you message Amanda and you can't get hold of her, you can always message me as well.
Absolutely. And boy, this session's gone so fast. I can't believe it. It seems to have gone so fast. But my name is Grant Morrell. I'm an international speaker. Yes. Speaker, trainer, coach, international best-selling author, and hypnotherapist. Over the past 21 years now, myself and an international team have helped thousands of entrepreneurs, business owners, and organizations across 15 plus countries, help them to increase their profits, normally up to about 200% in just a matter of a few short months, by working with their team, the people they got close to them, their systems, their mindset, and their strategy, so that they can live a life of passion, purpose, and freedom, and develop a business and a lifestyle that can become a legacy for generations to come. You can find me at grant.morrell on Instagram. Please hit me up there. Let me know if I can help you even more. Nomsa, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Grant and Amanda. And and everyone else, oh, that person is coming on early. My meeting with that person is 1:15, but that's okay. They can wait. Yeah, so if you guys connect with Grant, and if you can't get hold of Grant, please, you can get in touch with me as well. And remember to do the things that others don't. It requires courage. It will require you to become the person that you are really meant to be, unapologetic. I'm not saying it gives some people some attitude. Sometimes it means you might have to miss out when others are going partying and everything. You might have to read books, learn the skills, which is okay. Once it's done, it's done. The celebration is big. You can celebrate, and you can actually just keep going and just teach others how you've done it. And if you are somebody who is struggling, you can get in touch with us on my website, the Hope Spring Eternal Introduction Agency. There's a part where you can register yourself if you're looking for coaching, or you can book for an appointment, free consultation, 30 minutes consultation, and just if you're looking to find your own voice. But then there's another page for love as well. If you're looking to find love, get in touch with me as well. Or if you want to connect with any of our coaches, please do as well. The process is the same on the website. God bless everyone and live with grace.
Nomza, you're still on live.
Am I?